Hello, everybody, and we are back here in beautiful Johnson City. It is a sunny, blue sky, slight cloudy day. Right now it's about 80 degrees. I don't know if it's going to go up too close to 100 with 80% humidity, but I'll tell you, it's a pretty special day here. The unfortunate part of this episode is this is my last day. I have to head back to Las Vegas, which is not a bad thing. I don't know if I'm ready to go back to 118-degree weather. And it is a dry heat there. It is not a dry heat here. But I really have had a great time here, and I've had a pleasure of meeting some wonderful folks who are involved in the economy, the tourism, just the business of this wonderful region, Northeast Tennessee. And I think probably one of the capstone opportunities I have today is I get to interview the founder and the president, CEO of the Johnson City Chamber of Commerce, Bob Cantler. When I knew I was coming out here and knowing some of the work we do with our podcast with chambers, I said I have to go out and check out the chamber. And Bob was gracious enough to agree to join me today. So Bob, welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Series.
My pleasure, Howard. Thank you for being here. And we call this a Chamber of Commerce Day in East Tennessee. When it's blue skies and 80 degrees and a slight breeze, this is perfect weather. So as a chamber person, we have to brand everything. So we call it a Chamber of Commerce Day. But glad to have you here, and I'm hoping you're enjoying your time in East Tennessee. And I hope everybody's been kind and authentic and nice, and you've seen a lot of wonderful things.
I appreciate that. In that last sentiment, if you all had a brand beyond just a Chamber of Commerce Day, blue sky, nice clouds, the temperature is just right. Everybody has been so nice. Everybody has been so gracious. It didn't matter if we were here in the hotel or we were out in an adventure, whether in Johnson City or somewhere amongst the partners who are putting on this Field of Fest event. Everybody's just fantastic. And I have to share with you, I may have done this when we chatted originally. After each one of my interviews with the partners who are sponsoring this event, Field Fest for the OWAA, I'm thinking, this could be my next place to live. And it's like, I would imagine this is an area where people are just starting to move into.
It definitely is. There's a cool vibe about East Tennessee, and we've known it for many years here, but since the pandemic, people have caught on to the fact that East Tennessee is a really delightful place to live. It's got 4 seasons. It's good quality of life, good cost of living or low cost of living, outdoor recreation. So we're just seeing folks that have shown up here that we haven't seen ever. And I don't know if I shared with you a couple of years ago, during the middle of the pandemic, Johnson City, Tennessee was the #1 destination for U-Haul and pods. And we couldn't figure out, well, who are these people? And our discovery was it was mainly young professionals. So we saw a lot of those that are in their 20s and 30s that have moved here, and it's just, again, created a cool vibe for East Tennessee.
That's fantastic.
I'm glad you've enjoyed the climate, the culture, the vibe of Johnson City. It's been something we've known about for years, and it's kind of been a secret and a mystery of what's here. But since the pandemic, people have kind of found us. And during the pandemic, Johnson City was the #1 destination in the U.S. for one-way transportation of pods and U-Hauls. So we couldn't quite figure out who are these people that are moving here. And we realized people who use pods and U-Haul are usually early adopters or young professionals. So traditionally, East Tennessee has been a place to go when people were ready to retire, because there's no state income tax and a good quality of life, low cost of living, low housing cost. And I think our younger people, now that they have more options as to where they can work and live and play, are finding the benefits of Northeast Tennessee.
And as folks are coming out here, how has the region, Johnson City, responded to be able to bring them in? Because you just mentioned that you had retirees. Those were the folks that originally had been coming here. I'm probably closer to that end of it. I'd like to think I'm still young. I'm younger now after doing all this hiking the past couple of days. But how do you anticipate the needs of those younger folks who are moving in? Because what we look for, what we need is different than, say, the retired.
Traditionally, you plan in your strategic plan and everything that you prepare for what's coming, infrastructure, schools, and all that. Well, we had steady growth up until the pandemic, but all of a sudden we had exponential growth following that. So it's been kind of an adjustment. And housing has been an issue. That if you were looking for a $150,000 house in Johnson City 5 years ago, I could give you a list of 20 homes that you could look at. Today, I might find one. And it's our housing costs have gone up because the demand has outpaced the supply. But we're slowly catching up. The other thing that happens when young professionals move in, they start families. And we have to start looking at our schools and how do we accommodate if we have more students, and what's our plan for the next decade as to making sure that we're prepared for whatever growth, whatever opportunities, but still keep the charm and the vibe of what our community is.
And as folks are coming into the community, and we were downtown enjoying, was it La Ciel, the restaurant,
The Mont
Juan Sal, Label, and then there was a wonderful barbecue restaurant, Southern Craft. And by the way, I've noticed there are barbecue restaurants everywhere you drive. But how have those businesses, because I love an urban setting, I love a coffee shop, a nice restaurant, sit and have a drink. But how have those kinds of businesses responded? I'm assuming now, post pandemic, people have really discovered this is a great place to move to one way, young professional, raise a family. How have those kinds of businesses responded?
Resoundingly positive. Again, a lot of our restaurants, when the pandemic happened, I was having many conversations, and it was before PPP and how am I going to survive, and how do I pay my employees, and there was a lot of angst and navigation through that. But a lot of our businesses were very entrepreneurial, where they started doing curbside service, and they started having online menus and things that make it easier for the consumer and for the residents to do business with them. So it was I don't want to call it a blessing, but it was people who were tenacious to say, I'm not going to let this pandemic get me down. We're going to figure out how to do things better, differently, and I think they've come back stronger, and they're better serving the community, and the community now responds to that. We have Firehouse Barbecue. It's 45 years old. It started out of a convenience store and is now a staple in our community. So when someone who comes here and hadn't been here before, that would be a place you want to go see to get the charm of the community. But you mentioned Juan Sal, Label, and Southern Craft. They're all the same ownership group. But that was because back 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have chain restaurants here. We didn't meet the criteria for the chains to say, hey, we're coming to your area. So we had entrepreneurs that created their own opportunities. And then that's where those restaurants came from. And again, it's part of the charm of what Johnson City is. It's a unique place that you don't have at your hometown that you can come here and try.
That's excellent. And by the way, we are at the Carnegie Hotel. This is where Field Fest event was run for the OA members, and for our listeners, that's where I'm sitting right now with Bob. And I did walk to Firehouse, and I'm wondering, why did I walk? Because I broke a sweat, but it was wonderful barbecue. So thank you for sharing that. Now, we are actually also across from a major university. That kind of surprised me. I didn't anticipate there being a major university here, East Tennessee State University. And did I get that right? I did. Okay. Usually I have all my show notes in front of me, so it goes it's like flows like butter. But what has been the impact of the university? How has it evolved? Maybe even pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, but it looks to be a pretty substantive institution.
It's a very large and growing institution, and the university's been a little more intentional in the past 8 years since we have a new president about being connected and being part of the community. So they have relationships with Ballad Health, our large medical health system. they built a campus, or they built a lot of facilities on campus, trying to get people from the community on campus. For instance, there's a brand new football stadium. There's a performing arts center, and it was things that benefit and add value to the university, but it also adds value to the community, of connecting the community to ETSU. The other cool thing about it there is all the graduate programs. We have a college of medicine, we have a college of pharmacy, we have a very strong allied health. So there's a very strong component in East Tennessee for rural medicine. So a lot of the people we're training to be medical missionaries across the world, or even in remote areas in the United States, they can get that type of education here in Johnson City at ETSU.
It just dawned on me as you were sharing that you have faculty have families, kids, and you have to have housing for them. So the 70+ thousand residents in this city, many of them are actually employees, whether it's the administration, operations, or faculty of ETSU. That's pretty amazing. And I did not do any research of the university, and for the programs you just mentioned, that's pretty substantive. What is your work in day-to-day when it comes to interacting with communities like the education community or the local businesses? What's kind of that day in the life for Bob Kentler?
Our world in the chamber is connecting point A to point B. There's a lot of people in our community that are working on workforce issues. For instance, they were saying, how do I get in touch with our future leaders? I need managers when they graduate from ETSU to come be a part of my institutional organization. So again, during the pandemic, we realized that we weren't doing internships. So we've gone back to the university and say, we want to be more intentional about getting our students off campus and into these businesses. So we have projects like micro internships, or shadowing, or traditional internships. There's apprenticeships. There's things that we're trying to make sure there's a holistic approach to the community, connecting the students, the faculty, and the business leaders together, so they start the businesses start building their bench. They're working on their workforce, but the students are getting a better sense of what their career could look like by getting into a lot of these organizations.
Okay. And as far as the organizations, I mean, again, this was an outdoor event. Outdoor writers, journalists, photographers, podcasters like myself. One of the pulls for this area is Mother Nature and all that it has to offer. How has that evolved, again, perhaps from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic? Because from my perspective, it's a major attractor for this area. Someone once said it's a head in a bed for a couple days. It's cash registers at the restaurants, the boutiques, the convenience stores. But how have the outdoor activities kind of interlaced themselves with the running for the chamber, the tourism association?
And what's unique about the Appalachian culture is a lot of times we just took for granted for what we had here. We had the mountains, we have the lakes, we have the things, and we just they've always been there. We didn't realize the value of what those were. I had a gentleman from California came in not too long ago, and he goes, "Have you been up to Watauga Lake?" And I'm going, "Yeah." And he goes, "It's full of water." I'm going, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, back home, our lake levels are 1,000 feet below level. And here you have plenty." And I go, "Well, between God and TVA dams, they created that opportunity for those lakes." But those are things that we've had. What we're trying to do now is be a little more intentional about, can someone create a business in regards of being an outfitter, or being a tour organization, or a boating company or something like that, or a winery that's right next to the lake. So it ties in the nature and the business and entrepreneurial part. Back to that holistic approach. We're trying not to keep our outdoors and our community and our university and our institutions and our businesses in silos. We're trying to see that there's opportunities for all of them to exist together and grow together.
I love to hear that. And then again, that was a major pull for this region for our conference, is the Johnson City tourism partnering with the other local tourism associations, Morristown, Greenville, Carter County, Unicoi, etc. And I would imagine there's also a lot of coordination between yourself and your office and not only the Tourism Association or Economic Development, but also your peers who are in the other counties. Can you speak more to about that type of perhaps county, inter-city collaboration amongst, say, the chambers?
Yeah. I mean, at one point, many years ago, somebody said, why don't we have a regional chamber? And then we found out that each community kind of has its own flavor and its own vibe or its own feel. And so we decided, no, we can collaborate, but we can work together on particular issues. For instance, we all share the same legislative people. So why not have our government relations partner with each other and partner with our field representatives and our state legislators and our state senators? So they're not hearing from 5 different people; they're hearing from one consolidated voice. Again, back to the pandemic, when that was going on, we came together as the chambers to say, hey, we're out here to support your businesses, and we created a local business recovery fund where businesses who were thriving were providing some funding that we could go out and give some grants to some of our smaller businesses to help them exist during that traumatic time. So as chambers, we all kind of have our own fiefdom or area and village that we work with, but we're still very interconnected as chamber executives to make sure that we all kind of can benefit and promote each other. Again, this community, the Appalachian Heritage, was kind of like, this is mine and I'll stay in my own lane. We're kind of learning now that the benefits of if we work together, play together better, and again, share resources, that the high tide rises all boats.
That's actually one of my favorite sayings. High tide in the boats. And what has changed for you? I mean, I guess I did not ask this at the onset, but how long have you been leading the Chamber of Commerce here? Is this your first Chamber of Commerce?
This is my first Chamber of Commerce. I've been now 5 years with the Chamber, and I have a hospitality background. I was with Hyatt Hotels, Opryland Hotel, Marriott, and had retired from that, and I was doing some consulting work, and the person in my role had been there for 30-some years and retired, and I just was asked to have a conversation. So again, I came in, I'm going, I'm not sure if I know what a chamber does. So I started contacting my counterparts in Kingsport and Bristol and Greenville and said, help me understand what to do here. And then one of the things we did was said, well, let's just identify problems and challenges that we have. And as a chamber, let's figure out how to address those. And that's kind of been our MO for the past 5 years of when we've created programs to attract young professionals to the area. We did the livability publication to be more intentional that visitors can see what's going on here. We want to make sure we're providing assistance to our small businesses. So once we identified those things, it kind of gave us more value to our business community to say, okay, you're doing what we feel is important for us to sustain or be successful.
And it also raises a question I'm curious about it. When a business wants to set up shop in Johnson City, or there is a local who's been here for 30, 40 years at a local cafe, how well do they know that the Chamber of Commerce exists and the value that it can bring either to the business or even to the resident? Because I know I have heard elsewhere, that is a challenge. How do you promote in the brand of the Chamber and its value?
We've been, again, very intentional about that. We create a program called Co-Starters. It's a national program, but it's a 10-week program to help a business build their business plan. So we do that in the spring and the fall, and we'll graduate probably about 25 new businesses or entrepreneurs annually. We also recognize we can't be everything to everybody, so we have partner organizations through the SBA and through a group called Founders Forge, which is more high growth or entrepreneurial businesses. But we all talk to each other to make sure that we're, again, supporting, promoting, staying in our lane, but trying to grow the business community. We were just recognized by, and I'm going to get this wrong, I think NerdWallet as one of the fastest growing business licensed communities in the U.S. A lot of people are starting businesses here. So it's again, it's a dynamic time here, and it's kind of unique for where we've been to where we are today.
Excellent. And by the way, I have heard of NerdWallet. Somehow I am on their list. I get 2 or 3 emails a day. So as a podcaster, it's my part-time job. My other part-time job, more full-time, is I'm a professional coach, leadership development, career development. Unfortunately, which I have discovered because I'm aching right now from the hiking, and I sit at a desk all day. I depend on the internet, high-speed internet, not only for my podcasting, but also for my coaching, which is mostly virtual. How has the community met the need for having connected ecosystem?
Fortunately for us, our electric utility about 7, 8 years ago created a fiber network throughout our community. They already had the fiber in place for their electrical services and their substations and all that. And then it wasn't much of a transition for them to say, we're going to start offering fiber direct to the home. Communities like Chattanooga had done that years ago. Clarksville, Tennessee had done that. And so we had some examples to look at. So today, if you were living in Johnson City, you could have access to a half a gig, a full gig, or up to 10 gig, even in your home. And we have a lot of remote workers that have moved here because of that. We have people who are doing artificial intelligence for national companies that live here because they have 10 gig internet in their home. We have professional gamers that have moved here because, hey, I have less latency and I have great speeds, and it gives me a leg up in my gaming. So it's building that fiber network or that broadband resources would be like us in 1945 going, we need to build interstates. That's the new way of commerce in East Tennessee.
I love that. So you've actually given me another reason to further consider moving out here. It's a whole long story, but we could have that offline. I'm curious, Bob Candler, what's it been like to just be in this area? Are you originally from Northeast Tennessee?
Grew up here, graduated from East Tennessee State University in the 80s. I'm sharing my age now. When I graduated from college, there were not a lot of career opportunities here. So I had to work for Hyatt Hotels and work for Nashville. And I moved away, but I was one of those who got to come back. And I raised my family here. It's a great place to raise a family, very family-friendly location. But for me right now, there's so many positive things going on. Our mantra for the chamber for 2024 is things are going good, don't mess it up. So we're trying to appreciate what we have, trying to be intentional of where we can grow and do the positive things. And again, try not to lose our vibe or our feel for what the community is.
Excellent. Now, when you're not working and getting to sit down with podcasters like myself, going to planning meetings and talking to the mayor and the mayor's office about what are you guys doing? How do you enjoy yourself? I mean, what do you do when you get out there and have some fun?
I have an Airstream. So I love to camp. And we do hookup camping, but we also love boondock camping where I love the outdoors, but my wife wants to have the air conditioning in the bathroom in a comfortable bed. So we've figured out the collaboration there was an Airstream. So here I can be in Asheville, I can be in Charlotte, I can be in Knoxville, I can be in Pigeon Forge, I can be in a lot of places in a very short period of time. And we have a different campsite that we can look at very, very quickly and very easily. So it's a beautiful part of the country with the mountains, but we're still in close proximity to a lot of things right nearby.
That is fantastic. Again, you're making a very compelling argument, and I appreciate that. Before we head out today, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, I do want you to share your social sites, but oftentimes in an interview, I ask 2 questions. One is, what's your aha moment? Like, oh my God, I get to do this. What would be your aha moment, given the work that you're doing, perhaps looking back at the career you had and now the things you get to do? What is that aha moment for you?
For us, it's been, as I said, when I came on board, I said, I'm not sure if I know what the chamber does or how do we know the community is successful? What metrics have we applied to that? And to see that things are happening, our GDP is growing. By adding fiber, we're seeing companies that are wanting to move here. We're seeing a lot of remote workers that are saying, hey, I want to live in your community because I can get high-speed internet, but by the 10 minutes from the time I close my laptop, I can be on a mountain bike trail. So our aha is the things that we've known that have been here for decades and centuries. We're now understanding that are adding value to other people looking to come here.
Excellent, excellent. And the final feature we have is called the Insight to Go. Now, this could be, you've had a couple rodeos in the hotel industry, now the chamber. Perhaps there's a quote, a book, maybe you heard a speech, read an article. So what would you like to share with our listeners about either why Northeast Tennessee, why this is a wonderful place to lay your head or start a business?
My dad had a quote. He goes, never run from something, run towards something. So when people are moving here, we're always curious of why are you coming here? And some people saying, I'm leaving a bad situation in another part of the country, or political reasons, or I'm looking for a simpler conservative lifestyle, whatever it is that they're saying is important to them. What I'm saying is come to East Tennessee because you're running towards East Tennessee. See what the value and the benefit is. But when you get here, we're going to challenge you to say, why did you come? And if you say it's because of the kind, authentic people, we're going to say, okay, that's the playbook. You need to participate like that. And you need to look out for your neighbor, and you need to be adding value to the community. So our challenge as a business community is to challenge those that are coming here to say, okay, you're here. Now, what are you going to do to help grow the whole community?
I love that. Thank you for that gift. Now, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and the work of the Chamber, where are the best places for them to go?
Our website is the best place, is johnsonCityTNChamber.com. And in that has all of our social media outlooks. We're doing AI programming. We have a program called jcchamber.ai. It's a media platform that we're putting a lot of content on there, and a lot of our businesses are putting content on there. So that will be another area to find out about us. But through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Instagram, but really our website is where we're trying to guide and direct everybody to. And then from there, you can find information about relocation. You can find out who our government officials are. We can find out, if I want to move to, there's a move to site. How do I get to that? So we've tried to make that as the hub for anything that you want to find out about Johnson City and Jonesboro and Washington County.
Fantastic. Bob, I really appreciate you taking the time out of it, which I know is a busy day for you. It's Thursday, and just appreciate you taking the time, spending a half hour or so with us. It's great to get to know you, get to know more about Johnson City and the Chamber of Commerce. My friend Jill Lagan at Boulder City Chamber of Commerce will be very happy I did this, because I know she does this wherever she goes. And this is really, it helps listeners, if they have any inkling whatsoever of wanting to relocate, now they have a more compelling reason to check out Northeast Tennessee, and especially Johnson City and in the county. So again, thank you for spending time with us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Howard. And thank you for coming here. You've invested time and money and everything in travel to be here, and we hope you walk away with a positive experience in Johnson City.
It has been a positive experience, let me tell you. And for our listeners, you got to come out to this area. It is absolutely gorgeous, lots to do, and really wonderful people. I hope you enjoyed this short episode. We appreciate Bob Cantler, the President and CEO of the Johnson City Chamber of Commerce, joining us this morning. And we look forward to having you join us on a future episode. We're going to have all the links in our show notes for the website and social sites for Johnson City and the Chamber. And we'll also have all the links to the podcast for the Outdoor Adventure Series. Talk to you soon.